see it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either stopped.
And not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed. Free wide in the front of the field here. Look at Emil Tab up the inside for the race lead. We head down to the first corner.
These guys have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slipping.
Side by side for the race lead, 54, 48 through 3 and 4, working lap number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali, power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill.
This will be a great run for Fuller here. Yes, if we go right off the track in the final quarter, that'll allow Fuller to get a massive.
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block here by Sanfilippo. Into the grass goes Ben Fuller toward turn 1, and Sanfilippo hangs on. He's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2. Don't try here, boys. They're going to do it. Gritsko backs out. They touch. They're going to crash. Gritsko going to slam the attenuator hard into the wall, and Jared Tesson hits him as well. And big damage on these cars. That's a huge.
Number 4, people are struggling for grip, going out of every single lane, even trying to then run. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli at the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3 car gets turned around in the front of the car.
James Houghton looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. A bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15th or 16th spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide over this.
Getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag racing line. Final corner. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door. Banging doors. Fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw.
It's the season finale for the 2020 SCRS Ferrari Challenge from Sebring, Florida. Welcome to Sim TV. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined tonight by Eric Mickey for a classic here for SCRS Ferrari Challenge. The season often begins here and it often ends here, but every time we come to Sebring, it's an entertaining, wild festival of racing. This time with the Italian racing machines we're going to see here tonight. We're going to start with our AM race, and then we're going to move into our 2 Pro-Am races to end out the evening and the season. And before we start our Pro-Am races, we'll have the 2021 schedule for SCRS, at least the first half of 2021, ready to view right here on Sim TV. So make sure that you don't look away after the AM race, because that is when we will make that announcement. Qualifying already underway here, Eric, and good to have you back at the booth. Missed Road America last week, unfortunately, at least I did, but you were here for Road America and got to see quite the spectacle. And now we're going to head to another American Classic, and that is Sebring, Florida.
Absolutely. I think this week, after the last couple of weeks with how hectic our second races have been in the Pro-Am category, that everyone's looking to have a bit of a cleaner night tonight. But then again, it is the end of the season. You got about 6 or 8 weeks off before we get back going again. So you got time to cool down or to have your enemies cool down if you get into trouble tonight. So that might make us see some a little bit more aggressive driving than we would normally see here. But glad to be back at Sebring. Feels like it's been a while since SCRS has been here, and just kind of feels right.
It does feel right, and I think if I recall correctly here, Eric, the first stream we ever did for Ferrari Challenge, I believe, was at Sebring. Am I remembering that correctly?
It's highly likely that was the case.
So it feels like the right place to do this. And as we get prepared for our 3 races here this evening, we've had qualifying already going for a little while. A couple drivers have already laid down some times. Jonathan Rodriguez is back out on the racetrack here, the number 19. Conditions in the high 70s here this evening. Kind of warm, sunny conditions as we wish they were up here in Chicago. Ryan Plord, who's won a couple races recently and run pretty well, he is currently on provisional pole in that number 74 Rattel Racing Ferrari GT3 machine. But as always, we have to have a look here, Eric, at our track guide for Sebring, Florida, because this racetrack, I mentioned it's an American Classic. It's actually constructed on World War II airbase runways and taxiways, which means it's extraordinarily bumpy and also quite long. So there's a lot of different kinds of corners. It all begins with a run down to the first corner. That is a sharp left-hander that you're going to carry a lot of speed, probably 4th gear, get the left front tire right up against that wall, carry the speed off into turn 2, which is a slight kick to the right, then 3, 4, and 5, a very technical sequence where you're slinging the car through that middle sector, then the run down to turn number 7, the hairpin at the far end of the racetrack, a great passing opportunity down to first, maybe second gear, then throttling up to turn 8, then down to turns 9 and 10, another great passing opportunity right left through 11 into 12, then 13, another quick right-hander that you're going to jump the curb on driver's right, and then sweep down through the S's, 14 and 15 on your way to 16. And then you're going to make that long run down into another great passing opportunity, but one of the bumpiest and trickiest corners on the racetrack. That's turn number 17. And with the golden sun shining over that corner, they call it Sunset Bend, Eric. And while it may be the end of the day, it also might be the end of the race for some drivers in that corner. It's an extraordinarily challenging area of the racetrack.
Yeah, that final corner can really catch you out. You can drive in there pretty deep and realize that you're in too deep before you know it. Or completely underdrive it, and if you do that, you're losing a bunch of time. But there are so many bumps down in that final corner that you can really catch yourself out, particularly when reapplying the throttle. If you happen to do it when the rear tires are kind of in the air from one of the bumps, and then it lands, then you can get yourself pretty sideways. And I think that's going to be a fairly major place for action that we're going to see tonight. Sebring is home, if we remember correctly, to one of the closest finishes in SCRS history, so that corner can also set up some really good drag races to the start finish, and it'll be fun to see what these drivers can do around this bumpy and abrasive racetrack here tonight.
Well, 2 minutes are remaining in the qualifying session, and 13 of our 16 drivers that have joined us here tonight have completed laps, and there is no one currently on the racetrack. The last 3, Christian Oast, Travis Bennett, and Jonathan Rodriguez, not taking the opportunity to make a qualifying effort. But every time we talk about Sebring, it's always the run down to turn number 1. I mentioned how wide it is. We can see here on the left-hand side of your screen, that is the first corner. The track widens out to 8 or 9 lanes wide, but really the racing line that you can actually participate on is actually quite narrow. Basically, right where that yellow line is to the wall is essentially all you have to really race on competitively. And when the field comes down into this first corner, they're bringing a whole head of steam, Eric, and it's been a pinch point in the past and has created some incidents.
Yeah, I think we can look at least 3 wide, potentially 4 wide when they get to the braking zone for turn 1, and that's where things get dangerous, because it's on the start of the race when you have everybody that close. That's when you want to make up all your time and all your passes that you could possibly make. And that first turn is very inviting to be able to get all that done with the way that they'll be starting this race and going into that corner 2, 3, 4 wide for multiple rows. And everyone's going to think, well, I've got the line to make it work. And a lot of the times that's just not the case by the time they get to the center or the exit of the corner. So hopefully we won't see that tonight. Hopefully everyone will get there very cleanly and will go into turn 2 and beyond with good, clean, hard racing.
So 26 seconds left here in the qualifying session, and Ryan Plord will be your pole sitter for our AM race. He's had some awful good performances. Coming into the night, though, there was a couple different points battles we were following, Eric, but nothing really in the Drivers' Champion so much, but in the AM Team Championship, things are a little bit tighter. What's the story there before we get ready to grid?
Yeah, the Drivers' Championship seemed to be pretty locked up. In our pro driver standings, Zach Buchanan has a 17-point lead over Carter Kundinger. 25 is the most that you can make up in one race, given the way that the points work out. And here in our AM Cup standings, which these are all the drivers that are taking the grid right now, this is their opportunity to get the most points where they're not racing with pro drivers for those points. Drew Lidke leads by 26 points over Nicholas Morelli, so he's pretty much got that locked up as long as he doesn't have any kind of disasters here tonight, but he's also got drop weeks to fall on there. In terms of our team championship, AOD Racing and Can-Am MB Racing are the only 2 teams really close in any of the team standings, as AOD Racing looks to have the pro team standings locked up, but they're only 6 points ahead of Can-Am MB Racing in the AM Cup standings. And how that works is each team's highest finishing point scorer for the total night after all 3 races are said and done, those points go towards the AM team standings. And so what we have here to look for in terms of this battle is AOD Racing's Mo Islam or Dominic Dornenberg. They're both AM competitors from AOD. They've got an opportunity to seal this up for AOD racing, but Drew Lidke is the driver that we're going to have our eyes on. Him and Mick Blue are the two AM competitors from Can-Am MB Racing that are going to go head-to-head with Mo Islam and Dominic Dornenberg and see what they can get done to potentially steal this championship away in the AM standings on the last week.
So the field rolling off now on a 3.7-mile pace lap. Again, 17 turns, 3.7 miles around Sebring International. And like I mentioned earlier, stick around for the 2021 SCRS season schedule release before Pro-Am race number 2. So this race again will be about 15 minutes long. We'll have a short break, be back with our second event of the evening, our first Pro-Am race. And before that race goes green, we will announce the 2021 SCRS season schedule. And you're going to want to stick around for that one. This is a really exciting season coming up on Sim TV. And all the events in 2021 will be broadcasted on Sim TV as well. So lining up double file here, heading through the 4, 5, and 6 complex and towards turn number 7, which is that hairpin at the end of the straightaway. This is the last time these drivers will get to run this under pacing conditions. The next time they'll be coming down here, they're doing a buck 50 plus. 3 wide, 4 wide into turn 1. Eric, looking at the front of the field here, of course, the driver at the top of the grid is the 74 of Ryan Plord, Mo Islam in the number 206. Of these two, if you had to pick one, which one wins this race?
I think Plord has the experience to get it done, so I think I'd go with that. But Islam has been waiting to break through. He's been so close so often with the speed necessary, even in the Pro-Am races as well. So I think he's primed to potentially put all the puzzle pieces together in just the right way and take home his first win.
Corey Bunch rolls off in third alongside Drew Lidke. So the 69 car rolls off on the inside of that second row. Drew Lidke on the outside. Back in row number 3, Nicholas Morelli in the 095. Brian Shabelski in 6th in the number 12 car. Then Anthony Montello in the 24. Thomas Morris making a return to SCRS action in 8th in the number 99. Then Sarah Tessem. Andrew Mickey in the Bombshell Racing Team car rolls off 10th. 11th, Eric Brown alongside Brian Sohn in the 03. Dominic Dornenberg in the 913 and Christian Ose in the 157 starting towards the rear with Jonathan Rodriguez, Travis Bennett rounding out the rest of the field here in SCRS Ferrari Challenge for our season finale. The series that started it all here on Sim TV. This is this the 4th or 5th season that we've done now? It feels like we've done a whole bunch.
I've honestly lost track. We've done 2 or 3 a year, it seems like. Since we started, I lost track of how many seasons in we are, but unfortunately, the one of us that keeps track of those things in terms of the league admins is currently sitting in a race car, so I can't get that info from him.
So lining up now on the back straightaway, you mentioned how Sunset Bend is a great passing opportunity there. It looms with the cones denoting the direction of travel, and you got to cut that wall close on the inside to make speed here. But warming up the tires for the last AM race of the season. Again, we've got 3 races coming up tonight, all 15 minutes long. This is the first of those 3. Our second and third races of the evening will have our full field of competitors, including the red-classed pro drivers. Again, the AMs with the yellow wing end plates and windshield banners. And through the final corner, door to door, Ferrari to Ferrari, the field works their way through Sunset Bend under the bridge. And for the final time this season, the AM field all on their own will take the green flag as the pace car pulls off. 15 minutes of racing from Sebring underway. Green flag flies and we're racing in Florida.
Now watch this turn 1, see who gets aggressive. They look kind of spread out, a little bit lacking on the start of the race here, but that could be just a smart move to get through this first opening corners cleanly. As we have a car going around, it's Montello.
Anthony Montello to the inside on turn number 1. He's got some fairly significant damage, but other than that, no casualties on the opening lap. There's some side-by-side racing. Dominic Dornenberg right behind, or right in front of, I should say, Andrew Mickey, and behind the 99 of Thomas Morris. But a very clean, orderly start, and I'm not sure we can expect that all night long here, Eric, but so far, so good.
Yeah, that was just a little bit of that issue where you're getting over the bumps on the exit of turn 1 there that I think Montello kind of got caught out and had the rear end of the car slipped away on him, but everyone else has been able to get through cleanly, and it looks like everyone's giving each other the room they need. So after the last couple of weeks and a lot of discussions on the Discord, I think everybody's kind of come to an agreement that they just need to get good, clean races in here this week.
Sarah Tessem started 9th. She's gained 2 spots already. Travis Bennett did not take the green flag in the number 95 car, so that car already listed as out on the timing and scoring. And Ryan Plord out up front. Corey Bunch is cycled into second place right now in the 69 car. Then Mo Islam, Nicholas Morelli, Drew Lidke, third, fourth, and fifth. And behind them, Eric Brown is all over the back of Sarah Tessem. That's heading into the S's here.
Tessem's coming off her best week last week. I believe she finished in the top 10 in all 3 races. So that was a big week for her to be able to come through and get those consistent finishes. She's shown the consistency. She's shown the speed. The results just haven't always been there, but she looks to be turning it around as we are starting our last week of competition for the 2020 season.
Down the straightaway up ahead of them, there's Drew Lidke making a pass on, it's like Brian Shabelski. No, that is the Lidke on the outside, and Morelli, on the inside lane. Morelli will hang on for now. 3-car breakaway at the front of the field, and our first lap is complete. And pretty orderly. Montello has pulled within 9/10 of a second of Rodriguez. Here's Lidke having a look again at Morelli into turn 1.
Gonna see if he can pull it up alongside Morelli going in. Morelli goes wide off, and he's around.
Slams into the Armco on driver's left. Morelli will have to fight from the rear of the field. That's an unfortunate slide, but that's just what happens. You get in there too hot, track out a little too wide. And the curbing here at Sebring, we didn't mention it in the opening, but the curbing here is often very narrow and very tall, and it's not something you really want to spend a whole lot of time on. They're going to see, Montello climb up on top of it again at the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly what happened there with Morelli through turn 1. Looks like he gave a lot of extra room he maybe didn't need to. Andrew Mickey's making a pass on Dominic Dornenberg in the hairpin. Makes that pass cleanly, but Morelli just goes super wide. I wonder if he just got spooked or he thought that Lidke was further up alongside than he was and was just overly cautious and got himself into trouble.
I think he missed his turning point, wasn't able to chase it down to the apex after that, and that's what could have potentially caused that. Brian Shabelski now fighting Sarah Tessem, who's closed back in on that kind of highlighter green car right in front. And Sarah closing in on that 12 car behind Eric Brown, Thomas Morris, Andrew Mickey, who you just mentioned got by Dominic Dornenberg, so that pass complete.
Shabelski having a bit of an underwhelming season.
Oh, trouble up in front. Sorry to cut you off. Corey Bunch is around at the exit of turn 16. And his Ferrari, don't back it up into traffic. Not really dicey there. Let's have a look. Just caught too much curb at the exit of turn 16. Got a little bit too cheaty on the inside there, Eric. And if you climb up on that curb, it will actually beach the car. And that seems like what happened to Corey, and he will cycle down to 15th place.
Yeah, this is kind of Corey's thing here at Sebring. Has a bit of a history of losing it, as we've got Christian Ost sideways down the front stretch, somehow able to save it. Looked like he was going to go around as well. Was able to get it back under control. We have is that Dornenberg going for a move on Sohn.
Sohn down through and makes the pass complete on Brian Sohn. Moves Sohn back to 10th in the Penguin RC car. Dornenberg up to 9th spot after starting in 13th. Morelli's going to hit pit lane, potentially to fix some damage on that car, as Sarah Tessem has gotten by Brian Shabelski. That's for 4th.
Great run for Sarah so far. This is where she's got to make sure she doesn't get into trouble making the mistakes that she was making over the last few weeks before the last one. And she can come out of this with a really good finish.
Up in front, no change. Ryan Plord has led every lap of this race so far, all 2 that we've completed on lap 3 at the moment. 1.4 seconds back to find Mo Islam. 2.2 behind that to find Drew Lidke. You can see him there. And a pretty good run for Lidke so far. Not really running fast enough to run down the leader, but I'd keep an eye on Sarah Tessem. 72 cars coming forward pretty quickly and lapped, at least last time, a full 10th and a half quicker than the 121 car in front.
Yeah, this may be, I'm not sure, this could be just a place she really feels comfortable at and gets around quickly. It's definitely showing to be that way for her right now. She's had a really impressive start. After starting 9th, to be up in 4th right now is pretty impressive.
Field all pretty much knows the tail. Montello has had another incident in that 24 car, back reset on the pit lane. Here's a look. Been a frustrating night for Montello. Just got in too hot here. He's going to spin it to the inside. Traction control is going to lock it, and it's just going to slam into the tire barriers there. That'll be the end of his night, at least in the AM race. Back up in 4th, Tessem dealing with Brian Chabelski. Chabelski goes by. I wonder if Sarah got a slowdown or something, but looks like the 12 car will move on through into fourth.
Either a slowdown or just completely messed up that corner. And here's Rodriguez around in that final corner.
Just to carry too much speed in, caught the wall on the inside. That's actually major damage to the 19 car. One of the driving aspects about these Ferraris that has been a challenge in the past is these things are really tail happy and they're sort of snap oversteery, where if you don't have the right balance in the race car with the throttle and the brake, they will just step out on you like the rear wing isn't even there. And especially when you're charging into high downforce corners, you can't really lean on this car's downforce like you can some of the other GT3 cars. And it creates a challenge, especially when you're upsetting all the aero by slamming over the bumps here in Sunset Bank.
Yeah, that is true, and we see Tessem seems to be right back on pace, trying to get a position away from Zabelski, but here's Dornenberg trying to get a position back from Andrew Mickey.
Mickey's defensive into turn number 10, will stay on the inside. All fair there, you can run offline to protect your spot. Defensive driving has been sort of a topic of discussion lately, Eric. I know that there was some issues at Road America about changing lanes, braking zones, what was considered a block, what wasn't. The rules are not really that gray area. They're pretty much black and white in terms of what you can do, but we've seen a lot of incidents with drivers sort of poking noses in braking zones for better or for worse. And we're going to probably see some more of that here tonight because of how heavy Sebring's braking zones can be.
Yeah, the rules are basically, as we see, Andrew got a really bad run off of that last corner, and Dornenberg looking for a position into turn 17. The rules basically state the IndyCar or IMSA style rule of not being able to move in reaction to the car behind you. And Dornenberg goes around, just getting in that corner too hot, trying to complete a pass. Thankfully, he's able to save it without getting any damage.
Dornenberg
Ost looked like he had some issues there too.
Dornenberg slides it through turn 17, gets the car back in the right direction, but you were mentioning the rules about kind of moving across it, and basically you get essentially you can run a defensive line, but you can't change your line in reaction to somebody else chasing you, and I think there was a lot of discussion last week at Road America about maybe not changing lines intentionally, but drivers expecting each other to know where people are. And basically, it's complicated, and racing is hard, and everybody knows that. But at speeds that we're seeing with GT3 cars, see Mickey go defensive again. It can go wrong very quickly, is I think what I'm getting at. And for the race lead, Ryan Plord has gotten run down by Mo Islam in the 206 AOD racing car. He's battling for the top spot now.
This is what I was kind of looking forward to seeing, if Islam was going to be able to up the game just that little bit more to that next level that he needed to get to be able to be a race-winning contending entry out here. And it looks like he's found something over the last lap or two to come back at Tord with a challenge. He's got just over 3.5 laps or so to get it done.
He's got some work to do for sure as he runs down Ryan Plord in that 74 car, climbing up on the curbing. Chabelski and Sarah Tessem have had a pretty good scrap so far. It's far from over. Tessem running a bit neater line right now through the S's, and Chabelski looking a little bit frantic off of the nose of that bright orange Project 2 car.
Things seem to be calming down a bit here. Single file, some gaps in between cars.
There's some headlights flashing on the nose of the 86. Got Thomas
That's
Morris up
normal.
ahead of him.
You put Andrew behind a car with headlights, they're going to be flashing.
Hit the button. Cross the line now, 3 laps to go for the race leader. Mickey and Sohn, though, they have not completely sorted out their battle just yet. Sohn is still within drafting distance. But Thomas Morris isn't that far up the road from Andrew Mickey in the 86.
No, and there's not a lot of love between the 03 and the 86 right now. They've had a lot of on-track incidents between the two of them, and then even last week, the incident Brian Sohn was involved in ended up affecting Andrew and being involved in that as well. So there's some pretty high tensions between a few drivers out there that we need to keep an eye on.
Well, it's the end of the season too, so you're hoping that the drivers will sort of treat it as if there is a next week. But into the hairpin here at turn number 7. Sohn on the brakes deeper as the 3 kind of accordion together here at the apex. And Morris gets a great straight shot out of there and heads down the straightaway towards turn 10. up the road. Ryan Plord is a long way away. Leads by 0.6 of a second over Mo Islam. That gap has not really stretched beyond a full second yet this race.
Islam back a lot closer than he was last time we saw him. Here, I think what you want to do is you want to stay close enough through this next two sections of corners here as you get into these two fast left-handers. Then you've got these S's right here. His car, I believe, just went around.
Yeah, it's
yes.
Eric Brown at the exit of turn number 13. And maybe caught the curbing or actually missed it entirely. Probably caught dirt on exit right there. Grabs the dirt and spins it around. It will snap like a twig right there coming off the corner if you get the tires in the dirt.
Those drivers, that's one of those incidents where those drivers who look at the modern F1 tracks and say, oh, it's not even challenging, look at all the runoff room they get, and then they come to a place like this and are like, I could have used some runoff.
Not a lot of runoff to speak of here, at least not in the paved form, with the exception of Sunset, but even Sunset gets pretty constrictive through the middle of the corner as this battle for 7th is about to get, or make that 6th is about to get a little spicy here as Morris gets a kind of a not great run at the exit of 17. Mickey closes up within 0.2 of a second.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to see something happen between the two of these just because it'll entertain me in our Facebook group chat. But I think Andrew's going to do all he can to get a car in between him and Brian and see if he can even head up the track a bit and see what he can do later on. He's looking at a really good finish right now. He's already 7th place, looking for 6th. This is one of his favorite tracks. A lot of his favorite tracks were in the second half of this schedule that he was almost felt like he almost felt favored, like he was being done favors by having the schedule this way, but that's really not the case as we see Tessem go back around Sabelski.
Yeah, that'll put Sarah Tessem back into 4th. These two have traded positions a handful of times. Looks like that will stay that way. Meanwhile, here's Andrew Mickey out to driver's right on Morris. He had overlap there for a moment. We'll see if he can carry it into turn 10.
I think he's going to try.
Oh, Morris is in too deep. Mickey backed out just a little bit, and now the battle will continue off towards turn 13 here. But I think Mickey is definitely the faster car at the moment.
It would seem so. And, yeah, he definitely seems to be getting through these corners a little bit better than Morris. And getting all over the back of him. He just hasn't been able to get a good enough, clean enough run into a braking zone to complete a pass. He's going to try it here. Andrew's not one to wait for a passing zone. He sees a corner where you have to lift, and he sees it as a passing zone.
Well, I mean, in his defense, the entire racetrack is sort of a passing zone. That's sort of the point. So while it's easy from a standpoint of sitting in the broadcast booth to say that's a passing zone, in a race car driver's eyes often, denoting specific areas as passing zones is sort of draconian. For the lead, though, here's Mo Islam right in the tailpipes of Ryan Plord. White flag in the air for the race leaders.
Islam's got one lap to see what he can do with Plord. Does he have anything left in the tank to go after him?
Big dive on the brakes into turn number 3. A little bit too hot, perhaps. All Plord has to do is stay cool. Behind them, Morris and Mickey trading spots. Mickey looks like he's going to run side by side with Morris into turn 3. Comes across the nose, brakes, and he's through. That battle's done for now. Meanwhile, into turn number 7. Plord going defensive. He's feeling that pressure from Islam.
Yeah, Islam's going to see if he can take advantage of that, get a little closer on the exit with Ford having such an off. And there's this battle continuing between Tessem and Zabelski.
Zabelski trying to square off the corner, get a great run. He's going
Tessem
to.
goes a little wide off the exit now. Zabelski's going to have a run.
Got a run, but is it enough to do anything with here? He's going to look out to driver's right. Tessem will probably drive in deep to hang on. That battle will not change hands just yet. Meanwhile, Mickey and Morris still scrapping. Brian Sohn sees the door open, but it can't quite fit through it just yet. They got a couple
battles
cars
all over the racetrack suddenly over the last lap and a half or so.
We got Christian Oss queuing up behind, as well as Dominic Dornenberg recovering from that slide he had a little while ago. So we'll keep an eye on this one, but for the race lead, this is going to come down to the final corner. Islam is right there on Plord's rear bumper, heading towards Sunset Bend for the final time. But Plord got a great run.
Plord got a good run. Islam was probably hoping for a little bit of dragging in the grass to see if he can help get a run. I don't think he's got anything to get beside him right now. He's going to have to hope for a mistake from Plord going into this corner.
On the brakes, really deep around the outside. Can Islam make it stick? He's going to try to cross him over, but he's in too hot around the outside now. Plord and Mo Islam drag racing to the finish, side by side for a moment, but Plord will hang on. He'll win the AM race here tonight. Mo Islam second, Drew Lidke third, Sarah Tessem looks like she will hang on to fourth, Brian Chabelski fifth by only a couple car lengths. Then Andrew Mickey, Thomas Morris, they're going to come to the line door to door here. Oh, Mickey's going to throw a block here as they come to the line, side by side, squeezed against the wall. Mickey got it by 19 thousandths of a second, sewn behind them. Then Ost Dornenberg rounding out the rest of the top 10.
Good run to the line there between two people who have known each other for probably way too long, if you ask any of us.
Ryan Plord wins our first AM race here of the night. Remember that in just a few minutes we're going to release the schedule for 2021, at least the spring portion of it. We'll be back with you in a little while. Let's first go through our race results for this race. Ryan Plord, Mo Islam, Drew Lidke, Sarah Tessem, Brian Chabelski, the top 5. Then Morris and Mickey battling to the line, 19 thousandths of a second separated. And then it was Sohn, Ost, and Dornenberg rounding out the rest of the top 10. And looking down the rest of the order, Anthony Montello out of the race early with crash damage. Morelli never really recovered. He finishes in 13th. So with that, we'll be back, I guess, in a few minutes, Eric, to release the 2021 schedule and get set up for our 2 Pro-Am races of the night and round out the 2020 SCRS Ferrari Challenge season. Back live on Sim TV for the conclusion of SCRS Ferrari Challenge. The 2 Pro-Am races coming right up here. Qualifying for the first Pro-Am race is about to get underway. But before we get too far into that, Eric, we've got a special announcement for the 2021 SCRS season. Basically January through May, essentially, we've got races happening. And we're about to announce that here as soon as qualifying ticks over. We start to get cars on the racetrack. But some things are changing next season as we've sort of entering this roulette stage of trying different car combinations and trying some new things here in SCRS and on Sim TV. And without further ado, here is the 2 new series for 2021 for SCRS, the SCRS Super Trofeo Series and the SCRS Prototype Challenge, Eric. 2 new, very exciting things, sharing the same schedule, running sequentially with 1 Super Trofeo race and 2 Prototype Challenge races that will happen back-to-back in the same night and follow the same schedule with Super Trofeo acting as a support series to Prototype Challenge. Kind of an exciting new trial of something different for 2021.
Absolutely, I'm really excited about this. We regularly hold surveys of our competitors to make sure that we, as SCRS, are doing things that they're interested in, that they want to keep doing, that they want to go out there and have fun with. And on our latest survey back in September, the car that kind of got the most interest and the series that got the most interest to run next year was the Dallara LMP2 prototype. So our main series for the first season of 2021 is going to be the SCRS Prototype Challenge. And super excited about being able to bring that series. It's going to even throw us a little bit back to our first season of SCRS here on Sim TV as well, as that's going to feature still a 2-race format, but we're going to have a 20-minute race and then a 40-minute race where you will need to make a pit stop for fuel in that second race with a field invert. Some of those details are still to be worked out, but definitely looking forward to going back to a bit longer races, something that a lot of our drivers have been kind of asking for, given the nature of the short races, kind of upping the anxiety, the tension a bit too quick. And a lot of our drivers and admins thought maybe longer races could create better racing and calmer racing, where you don't have to get everything in just 8 laps or so of racing at a particular track. And this is going to be the highest form of racing that SCRS has ever put on, with a prototype, the LMP2 prototype car being the main series. But important to note that we do have that second series that is going to be running as essentially a support series, but there is no limitation on drivers being able to run one or the other. Both series will be open to any drivers that are part of the SCRS group. And the Super Trofeo is going to be the first race of the night. It's going to be a 25-minute race. They're only going to get the one race per week, but there will be points for qualifying and an invert for qualifying positions, which kind of keeps the whole feel of what we try to do at SCRS with having field inverts, creating opportunity, creating racing with faster guys having to make it up through the pack. The Prototype Challenge will continue to feature our Pro-Am structure with a Pro category for drivers and an Am category for drivers. The Super Trofeo series is not going to have a Pro-Am structure. It's just going to be a straight 1 category for all drivers that are interested in running that series. And that came about from the release of the Lamborghini that iRacing has recently put out. There was a huge amount of interest in general anytime iRacing puts out a new car, and we got a lot of interest from our drivers to race a Lamborghini Super Trofeo. And the only other option besides going into a 2-series format like we've ended up deciding on was going to leave us waiting almost a year before we got around to the Lamborghini. So we're really excited about this new form of SCRS and what it's going to look like next year. This could be, right now, this is only a temporary first season of 2021 structure to have 2 different series running on one night. But if it's successful, this may be something we do as a regular thing for us going forward, so that we can cycle back to different cars and different series, including getting back to Ferrari Challenge and getting back to Porsche Cup, which was a very successful series for us, and a lot of drivers have expressed interest in going back there. So super excited to be launching these two series on January 28th at Daytona, ending them at Le Mans in April. And again, as we announced just a few weeks back, we've also got the VMAX IndyCar Series starting on January 6th on Wednesdays for the SCARS League, with some of our biggest races in that series going to be broadcast here on Sim TV as well. So very excited about SCARS in 2021. A lot of exciting things happening, a lot of things that we're really looking forward to getting going. And I think this is going to be a huge year for SCARS Racing and Sim TV.
It's going to be a really exciting year, and I'm personally very excited. I'm one of those people, and I'm very biased, but I really like American road courses, and seeing the schedule pretty much loaded. All but 3 road courses that are here are American road courses. I think they put on some phenomenal racing. Going back to Daytona, which is actually a track that we don't visit all that much in road racing, so excited to go back there. Long Beach Street Circuit appearing on February 11th. That might be one of the earliest appearances Long Beach has on Sim TV in 2021. I'm sure we'll see plenty of it next year. Returning to Watkins Glen International, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Road Atlanta is always a great show. And, of course, ending with Circuit de la Sarthe in Le Mans, France. That's going to be a super, super fun race to kind of tack everything on at the very end. Also, combining this with the new graphics package that Sim TV will have next year, and pending a professional announcing by my buddy Tom O'Gorman in the next room over. He's not here tonight, but will be potentially announcing all the road racing in 2021 on Sim TV. So looking forward to having him with us here. But this is a really exciting time. The Lamborghini being a brand new race car is going to be a lot of fun. It sounds great, looks great, and of course the prototype, one of the best cars in iRacing at the moment. Really can't wait to see these cars taken to the limit. And also, I really enjoy the idea of using them as sort of support series that visit the same racetrack to give context to the speed of the prototype specifically. I think it's a really powerful tool to put one car on a racetrack and then take a much faster car to the same racetrack to give all the viewers an idea of how fast those cars really are. So really excited to get this underway starting on January 28th with a brand new graphics package, all new thumbnails, all new replay animations, so much coming next year that we're very excited for.
Absolutely. And to show a little bit of my bias looking at that schedule, that March 25th race at Monza, that's not going to be taking place on the Grand Prix circuit. That's going to be taking place on the combined Grand Prix and Oval circuit, something I'm a huge fan of. I really love combining that track. It's something you can't do in the real world, but in iRacing you can. So we figured, why not? It's going to be a lot of fun to take both the Lamborghini and the prototype around that historic circuit and putting it on those high banks of Monza and just kind of seeing what happens. So I'm really excited that we're going to be able to get to do that next season here on Sim TV.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Monza combined circuit. We've never actually broadcasted a race there, so that'll be an interesting one for sure. So with that out of the way, we'll show it to you one more time before the night is over. Make sure that you join the Discord. You can find that. I just posted it in the live stream chat. That link will be active for 24 hours. So if you're watching after I guess what will be the end of December 18th, 2020. You're going to have to head to the video description to find our Discord and then get to the SCARS one via there. So qualifying 2 minutes remaining here for our first Pro-Am race. You'll notice on the left-hand side of the screen the red and the yellow. The red again denoting our Pro category drivers and the yellow denoting the Am category drivers. And there's our Am race winner, Ryan Plord, running third in qualifying. It's been a pretty successful night for Ryan so far.
Yeah, he's kind of in the middle of the season, a lot of this season, has had somewhat of a lackluster performance. Not something he's been super proud of. I think he's even been very vocal about wishing we were still in the Porsche Cup. But looking at the point standings, even for the Am, he's down in 6th place. He's behind Corey Bunch, who hasn't even run all of the races. Corey's missed 3 races, and he's still outscoring Ryan in the Am Cup standings. So that's a pretty big deal for Ryan, someone who we've come accustomed to being at the top of the pylon in the Am division over the last few years.
So Mitch Welker across the line in his number 77. He will go faster. A 201.448 puts him up into third. On the inside of the second row, teammate Zach Buchanan right now scored in 6th. Chris Hudson's at the top of the board right now over Kurt Crum by 98 thousandths of a second. Of course, we mentioned Welker, Plord, Kundinger, Buchanan, Bunch. Mo Islam is running in 8th right now in qualifying. A couple more drivers making their ways around a 22-car grid, slightly down, but in terms of field size from the previous weeks. But I think that's a good thing here to get a nice, clean race like we saw in the first Am race of the evening.
Yeah, this has been a complete win for SCRS this season in terms of in terms of field size throughout the year. We started, obviously, we had almost 40 cars at our peak at Watkins Glen, and even as the season goes on, when drivers start to have less to race for, you tend to see in pretty much any league that you'll start to lose drivers and everything. But so for us to come down to just 22 on our last one, that's a really big thing for us going into 2021, where we expect to grow even further with the things that we've got on our plate to do. So really excited about that, as qualifying has ended and our front row is exactly as it was last week, with Chris Hudson taking the Rodenzo Pole Award and Kurt Crum starting second.
We've got, again, 22 drivers, 11 rows of race cars about to grid here for our 2 Pro-Am races. We're going to end out the 2020 season and get ready to launch into 2021 at the end of this night. So Chris Hudson in that number 43 car, that's that Conan kind of lime green and black car, is on the front row alongside Kurt Crum in the number 87. And let's roll through our starting lineup. I mentioned the 43. How about Kurt Crum on the outside of the front row, the number 87 Bombshell Racing Team car? There he is. Then on the inside of row number 2, Mitch Welker in the Project 277. Ryan Plord, after his AM race win, carrying that momentum into the Pro-Am race in 4th.
Carter Kundinger is going to roll off from the 5th position, with championship rival Zach Buchanan rolling off from 6th, as we have Corey Bunch in 7th and Mo Islam in 8th, making up the row behind them.
In row number 5, starting on the inside, Bryce Calusa making his return to SCRS in the number 5 car, rolls off in 9th, and Brian Sohn 10th in the number 03. Row 6, Drew Lidke in the 121. Nicholas Morelli, looking to rebound from his poor Pro-Am performance earlier tonight, starts 12th, and Christian Ost in the 157. Kyle Lamb starts 14th in the Project 242.
Starting 15th, you've got Dominic Dornenberg, and 16th on his outside is going to be Sean Unterkuffler. 17th is Brian Sabelski, and 18th is Eric Brown.
In 19th place, starting on the inside of row number 10, is going to be Thomas Morris. We saw him battling the line with a teammate. There's the 20 of Andrew Mickey, rolls off in the 86 car. Then, of course, the last row, Sarah Tessum in the 72, and Jonathan Rodriguez in the number 19, looking for some better luck here. All right, forming up here on our pace lap, getting the tires warmed up. And the daylight conditions, the sun going to be in the eyes of some drivers. You might not consider it a big deal if you're on a normal monitor, but if you've got HDR or if you're in VR, Eric, that can be a pretty big distraction.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a couple points on this track where the sun could be a little bit of an issue, but like right there, seeing on board, that glare could get pretty bad. So drivers are going to have to be on their toes, especially if they're racing in close quarters with others heading down into this hairpin as we get underway in just under a pace lap.
Into turn number 7, again, a passing zone that we saw utilized a couple times, thinking back to Sarah Tessum and Brian Jabelski's activities. They went back and forth a few times earlier in this race. And decidedly a small amount of incidents in the first event of the night. Is that going to be the trend, or do you think we're going to see some more messiness this time around?
I mean, I'm hoping it's the trend, and I kind of think it will be. I think most drivers, we saw in that AM race, everyone kind of seemed like on the same, like they're on the same page in terms of just giving each other the room necessary to be able to race cleanly and get through without many incidents. And I think we'll probably see that again here for these next 2 races. But once again, it's the last week of the season, and on the opening lap of this race, you might find, especially those who had a pretty bad qualifying run. I'm looking at Thomas Morris and Andrew Mickey and Sarah Tessum back there in the back of the field when they were
99 of looks like Thomas Morris has had a spin on the pace lap here, and looking from high above here, see if we can. He just got the tires in the grass and spun all on his own. Rodriguez slammed on the binders and avoided collecting anybody, but so good quick thinking there by those behind, but an oopsie moment for Thomas Morris.
Yeah, not really sure what happened there, like why he found himself on the grass.
So doubling up now, Chris Hudson, Kurt Crum, Mitch Welker, Ryan Plord, and Carter Cunding, Zach Buchanan, Corey Bunch, Mo Islam, Bryce Calusa, Brian Sohn, your top 10.
We'll say that Morris incident isn't boding well for the way this race is going to go.
No, it's not a great way to start off your evening. This is why they call that sunset bend down there, heading straight off towards the sun. the final time under pacing conditions. The drivers will see the golden Florida sunlight ahead of them, working their way through the bumps and ruts in the racetrack. This old concrete surface, the World War II airfield. Chris Hudson is your pole sitter coming to the start-finish line. Pro-Am race number 1 of 2 tonight at Sebring International. SCRS Ferrari Challenge. Round number 9 is green. Chris Hudson fires off 3 wide already. Buchanan looked out to driver's right. Here comes Mo Islam behind him as they thunder down to turn number 1.
This is more what we were expecting to see in that first race. Everybody side by side. 4 wide, it looks like, at one point. Buchanan having to give up ground just to be able to play it safe and get through. Undercuff was right behind him. There's contact behind.
Trying to see what driver that was. It was Eric Brown that got into the fence at the exit of turn 1. Overcorrected, went back across the racetrack, slammed into the Armco. That will likely be it for him tonight unless he repairs that car and gets back rolling. Other than that, clean and green up towards the front of the field. And Chris Hudson leads by half a second. Mitch Welker, then Kurt Crum is under attack now from Carter Kundinger.
It looks like Crum's lost a position on the start there, from second down to third.
A couple other positions shuffling here and there, but no major moves so far. Everyone just trying to get some room to race for the moment. It's going to get very crowded here in a couple laps once everyone starts coordinating back together. Here's Mo Islam on the outside of Zach Buchanan into turn 10, and Unterkuffler behind sticks his nose up the inside, and behind them you see Lidke Morelli side by side.
Yeah, you know, for the way this field entered turn 1, for us to get away with that with only 1 incident and it being pretty much a single car incident, that's a pretty big deal. Everyone's been able to get through pretty cleanly, something we've seen be an issue over the last few weeks, but looks like everyone's got their head on right tonight, and they're just going off to race hard as we've got Morelli, and is that Zabelski or Lidke?
That's Lidke in the 121. Big slide there for the 095. Now clears. Here comes up the inside. That's the 157 of Ost. He will squeeze on through and push Lidke back to 14th. He's going the wrong direction here early in the going. And we'll pop out a line here from Sony.
Lidke pulls off to a defensive line. Oh, now he might have gotten a shortcut penalty.
Yeah, looks like that's the case. Meanwhile, Kyle Lamb and Bryce Calusa, that got really dicey there. Zach Buchanan chasing. A little bit of a damage to the rear of that 5 car. I think he's had someone into the back of him.
A bunch of these Project 2 cars together. That's been an issue in the past.
It was definitely an issue at Suzuka. Zach Buchanan dodging teammates left and right all the way out to the edge of the curve.
Buchanan off.
That was really dicey there. Calusa's going to crowd him to the right into turn 3.
He's got some wiggle room with the championship, but I don't think he can necessarily afford a DNF for any of these races tonight. So I think he's got to, or even just to score 1 point, I think he's got to make the most of it and get up there, especially with Kundinger running in, it looks like 5th right now, 4th or 5th right now, and Kundinger still has positions and points to gain by getting up there, so Buchanan's got to be a little bit careful with how he gets through this field right now.
He's been okay so far battling this 5 car. They've been awful respectful of each other, which is always good to see. Mo Islam watching from behind, hoping that the respect doesn't last for too much longer. I'm sure he'd like to bully his way through, but Buchanan can't get a run there on the inside lane. Part of the problem with Sebring's sharp curbing, Eric, is that it really constricts your apex, and you can't carry the momentum you want to carry. You end up kind of pinching the car off. Oh, Islam
Buchanan into the back of Dornenberg.
And Unterkuffler got into the back of Mo Islam on the entrance to the corner. Islam lost it on exit. And you mentioned Buchanan all over the back of the 5 car at Calusa. Here that battle is again.
Yeah, I got my Project 2s mixed up.
Buchanan through Calusa. Meanwhile, Christian Ost sizing up Morelli here. Ost charging from the rear of the field. He started 13th. He's gained 1 spot. He'd like to grab some more. Up at the front, Mitch Welker has caught and is passing Chris Hudson.
Strong move from Welker. Is he going to be able to get it done through this final corner?
Does it. Kurt Crum watching from behind, though. This is the car we're going to keep an eye on. 3-way battle for the lead. Make it 4 if you count Carter Kundinger in behind.
I think this is going to be a good close battle through the rest of this race with this top 4.
So far, so good. Welker on rails right now. Corey Bunch might have caught the wall on the inside into turn 1. Carter Kundinger a little slow at the exit, and in the background you see Buchanan being hounded by Bryce Calusa. This is certainly not sorted out yet.
using up all the curbing they can to get as much momentum as they can through these tight technical section of the racetrack.
Well, Islam has slid back to 17th place. There's Mickey and Lidke. Lidke's also fallen back. Remember the slowdown he had earlier. And up out front, Welker trying to run away. I think Kurt Crum might be faster than the 77, but Hudson is sort of the cork in the bottle right now. And if Hudson gets pushed out of the way, I think that 87 might be able to run down Mitch Welker.
Yeah, they're running so close. It's just one of those things where you have to give up a little on the entrance and even through the center from where you would be, how you probably would be driving if you were on your own. That it kind of kills your exit. So it's almost easier to kind of back off and create some space between you and the car ahead, and then kind of regain that momentum and try to take a position in one fell swoop rather than trying to stay as close behind as Crum is right now. But at the same time, you don't have any room behind you to do that, as we've got, it looks like, what, the top 6 or 7 closing in right now, for the top 6 or 7 positions. So none of these drivers really have any opportunity to make anything happen without making sure that they don't risk losing positions behind.
Into turn 17 from all over the back of Hudson. Hudson closes in Sunset but can't get alongside Welker as they slam over the bumps through Sunset Bend. Hudson's way out wide, got the wall on the exit of the corner, and that will be fairly significant damage, and through goes Crum, Kundinger, and Bunch.
That was really significant. Oh, Tara Tessum around. She was up to 14th.
Yeah, Sarah Tessum has found her way into the barrier. Here's a look at what just happened with her. Entered in a little bit hot here, kind of got unwieldy over the bumps right here. Car just steps out, she couldn't catch it. And it looks like Brian Sohn just went, great driving there. Another driver, I think that was 17th place car, Drew Lidke, was able to get through. Carter Kundinger's just had an off in turn 4. Let's see if he got some help. All on his own there, it looks like.
No, they looked at, contact.
It's Chris Hudson, the pole sitter.
So Hudson's got both sides of that car crumpled up now. It looks like he's really struggling with probably some wheel damage on that one.
Teammates side by side. There's Kyle Lamb and Zach Buchanan.
Still stuck back here, racing with Kalusa and Undercuffler. They really don't seem to be really making much ground for getting away from each other. They're all just kind of trading positions.
Oh no, the 42 car got lifted up. The rear tires picked up off the ground by the 5 car of Kalusa. Let's have a look at what happened from up above. Just, did the 5 car get hit first?
I don't know if the 5 car got hit, but it definitely looked like Lamb was a little bit slow.
Oh no, there was a little bit of shuffling, and it looked like Lamb was a little slow, but did get booted out of the way. Meanwhile, Kalusa
that almost looked like everyone kind of reacting to the car behind, thinking they were going to get hit, so they ended up just having to squeeze back on the gas, and then they all kind of accordion together.
Christian O swung out wide to try to get a run onto the back straightaway. Looked like he's actually able to accomplish that. Looked like he had gone maybe too wide. Meanwhile, here's Mitch Welker and Kurt Crum battling for the lead in the category. Oh, swipe into turn 17. Not close enough. I think Welker is on defense now.
Looks like it. Kurt's got a lot of speed under him. He's had a lot of speed the last 2 weeks as well. Definitely turning it on the last third of the season. Compared to where he was the beginning of it. We got another car on the grass. It's an AOD car. Not sure if it's Dornenberg or Islam.
It's Islam. Whoa, across the field he comes. And he just got out wide, caught the grass at the exit, got into the fence, and then slipped back across the racetrack, and everyone went scattering. There's Andrew Mickey. Drew Lidke squeezing through. They did a good job missing him, but back out front, going to get pretty tight between the leaders here.
Crum is so good at just hitting his marks every single lap and being very consistent. I don't think he's going anywhere. Welker's going to have him in his rearview mirror for the entirety of the rest of this race, and it's going to be up to Welker to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes that give him the best opportunity to hold Crum off. As we have Morelli on the inside of Undercuffler. Undercuffler stays on the outside. He's going to have a little bit of room here on the left. They got to go left here. That should help Undercuffler, but the next corner is going to favor Morelli.
Side by side into turn number 10. Undercuffler on the outside, real tight. They're going to touch just a little bit. Undercuffler is going to bobble and gather it back up. He will slot in behind Christian Oss in the 157, so a bit of shuffling there. Back out front, keeping an eye on the race leaders. Kurt Crum is right there with Mitch.
Crum's going to try to set him up on this last corner. So tempting to really try to cut that last right-hand corner there coming onto this straightaway, but it's such a fine line as to what'll get you a penalty.
Into Sunset Bend again, the leaders chasing each other into the corner. Ryan Plord and Carter Kundinger are running nose to tail. Kundinger's actually kind of blocked in behind the 74, took a swipe, couldn't get there. Now Buchanan closes in for a look.
Buchanan slowly moving himself up through the field as some other cars have started to take themselves out. Crum on the inside of Welker going into turn 1.
Side by side for the top spot. Welker leaves space. If Welker can keep overlap here, he might be able to hang on to this. This complex generally favors drivers on the right. It looks like he will do that. Big slide there, but now Crum will go through, and Welker did a great job gathering that back up. That was almost a loss of control there, but managed to keep the car going in the right direction. Meanwhile, Buchanan threw Plord into 5th.
Great move by both of them, really, for that top spot to be able to get through there, as unruly as the car was for Welker, but to come out cleanly. See, Welker had a run on Kurt going into the hairpin, but Crum's able to hold him off and look at potentially driving away. We'll see if he's got the speed to do that as Undercuffler gets around Bryce Calusa.
Calusa throttle up, got a great run here at the exit of turn 7, and should be able to carry that speed into an attempt to pass into turn 10. See if he looks driver's right or driver's left. He will look to the right, now stay in line for the corner. He will give up that opportunity early on. Crum is not running away from Welker right now. The draft is keeping Welker in tow. And next time by will be 2 laps left. And I'm not sure that this is totally done. I think Crum's a better car, but is he more consistent than Welker? I'm not sure.
There's just enough long straights here that the draft can kind of make up a little bit, just a 10th here or there, and that can be enough to keep Welker in this fight and give him an opportunity to get back, get the position back from Crum. But Welker's going to have to do everything right in order to make that happen, and Crum's going to have to probably make a mistake or just get offline to give Welker that opportunity. But Crum is just so good at just hitting laps and turning lap after lap consistently that I'm not sure that that's going to be the way that this goes.
Well, Welker had a very different line than Kurt Crum through turn 17, and it both ended up netting them nothing. No one really pulled away from any others, so they ran 2 very different lines and had the same pace. Well, Crum almost saw the race flash before his eyes there with a slip up out of turn number 1. Meanwhile, Unterkuffler up the inside of Ost for turn 1. Calusa watching from behind them.
Big lunging move from Unterkuffler.
Ost dives on the brakes on the outside, side by side through turns 3 and 4.
Unlike Welker, he was able to hold it there, but it's going to give up the position on the second left-hander to Undercuffler. Now he's going to have to defend against Bryce Calusa going down to the hairpin. Calusa has a run.
1, 2, 3 stacked up. Heading into 7 now. The 157 tries the outside. Going to maybe pinch the 9 car down there. Get the run off. He can't. Calusa sees the opportunity open. He will squeeze up the inside along the curbing, and he will try to take that spot away.
Yeah, that outside line through there is not something that ever really works too well.
Being worked over by Dominic Dornenberg in the 913, running in 12th. This battle pretty extensive right now. Big climb over the curb through 13. Back up front, though, 3.5 tenths of a second. Coming to the white flag. Welker is keeping Crum honest. I'm just not sure if Welker's got enough pace to get alongside and seriously contend for it. He's close enough to at least keep Crum thinking about it, but I'm not sure that there's a legitimate attempt to pass coming anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Kurt's going to have to make a mistake, but they're coming around turn 17, and they're coming to the white flag.
Oh, he drove in there really hard. He was able to hang on to it and get it down to the apex. Did it cost him time, though? Doesn't look like it.
Nope, they're taking the white flag this time by, it should be, and Crum's going to have probably... His mirrors are going to be full as we have a car in the wall as it's Ost.
Christian Ost, that's a big impact there in turn number 17, so he's had an issue. Got in too hot underneath Unterkuffler. They tangled. Oh, what an impact for Christian Ost. Got turned across the nose of the 9 car. right back into the tire wall right here. Watch this.
Oh, Oates just overcooked it entirely sideways.
A hellacious impact for the 157. Meanwhile, up front, Welker is right there, heading towards one of the best passing zones on the racetrack. Oh, he's in hot. They're going to touch, and Crum going to drive in way deep. Gets it woed down, and Welker is there.
That's borderline blocking on Crum there, but we'll see what happens between the two of them for the rest of this lap.
Blocking is often a self-policing situation. Welker's going to try to hang on the outside. He's there. He's going to just drive his way through. What a pass by Welker on the outside at turn 10. That was a power move there for the 77. But it's not over yet. We still have that long straightaway and sunset bend to finish this off, and it's gotten a little bit physical up at the front.
Crum going to be able to come back at him. That's what the question is here. We've got just a couple corners left for Crum to do it.
He's going to try to build a run here, but Welker, he into lift. Welker is going to get away, and I'm not sure that Crum can overcome that deficit.
I don't think he will. Welker with a very powerful move on the last lap to take the lead back. I think that's going to lead him to a win here in the final round of the SCRS Ferrari Challenge for 2020, and Crum lunges it in there, trying to make something happen.
Can't do it. Mitch Welker with an amazing pass around the outside of turn 10. A little bit physical. Elbows out, comes across the line. 77 wins. Pro-Am race 1 of the night. Kurt Crum second place. Then Corey Bunch, Carter Kundinger, and Buchanan. They'll finish 4th and 5th respectively. Ryan Plord in 6th. Then Morelli, Calusa, Lamb, and Unterkuffler. And still some battles going on behind him. Dornenberg, and I think that's Brian Sohn to the line. Gives Sohn 11th spot by 37 thousandths of a second. Sarah Tessum, Thomas Morris, 16th and 17th. But I would love to go back and look at this. Unfortunately, we're not really going to get much of a chance to, but that was a great move that Welker made. He will win the first of the 2 Pro-Am races by half a second over Crum. And Crum just let Welker stay too close and then kind of braked across the racetrack just a little bit in a very similar situation to what we saw last week at Road America, Eric. It was Sohn instead of Kurt Crum, but a similar situation which there was an opening to the outside and the car braked across the racetrack, which is sort of a no-no, and that is what led to that situation.
Yeah, I think what happened there was Kurt was not convinced that Welker was actually going to make an attempt for a pass there, so that he thought he would be able to move back over onto the racing line pretty fairly and be able to get to the corner in front. But Welker definitely made sure that he did what he could to make that pass happen, and things went the right way ultimately for Welker.
Yeah, we're going to have another look at it here. Final lap of Heat 1. So the door is open to the left, and Welker's going to drive over here to the left, and the 87 is going to sweep across and brake again across the racetrack, which again is a similar situation. They both came out of that okay, and I don't really think that led to the pass. The pass happened independently of that incident, but just wanted to point it out. And then down here to turn 10, this is where Welker just dives on the brakes, stands the car up on its nose, and goes the long way around. And this is a hard pass to complete, and he managed to just keep alongside there and squeeze through. So well done, well earned for Mitch Welker. With a quick warm-up period here. We're going to step away for just a moment. We'll be back with race number 2, the final race of the night, in just a moment.
In the heart of Virginia, there's a stretch of pavement that has ingrained itself in American racing history. Built in 1957 with just a bulldozer and a plot of land, Virginia International Raceway has become an icon. Over the years since its reopening in 2000, it has hosted IMSA, the American Le Mans Series, NASCAR, SCCA, and Champ Car races. Legends have raced there, including Roger Penske, Mark Donahue, Richard Petty, Hurley Haywood, Dan Gurney, and more. Between turns 11 and 12 stood a defining feature, an old oak tree. This tree stood untouched, shading the south end of the course for decades. For some, oak tree became a symbol of VIR and a reminder of how road courses used to be built. They used to be built with the lay of the land, following each contour and moving around obstacles, not through them. Earth may have been moved, but not tarnished. Oak tree was a lasting memory of when tracks were not just built, they came to be, like the tree. Although oak tree no longer stands, nor does hog pen, turn 17, the corners both still bear the name of what used to exist. And the track stays unchanged the way it was meant to be, with the lay of the land, for the land. Maybe that's why Paul Newman called it heaven on earth.
Back live for the final race of the season for SCRS Ferrari Challenge from Sebring International. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Eric Mickey for the final Pro-Am race of the evening, and it was Mitch Welker that came out on top. But we're going to invert 18 cars, Eric, and we saw a minimal contact in the first race, but there was the potential for chaos was there. Now when we flip the field around backwards, I think that potential for chaos might be realized here in this second race.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the most hectic race that we have. Once again, final race. This is the final round, but this itself, the next 15 minutes, is going to be the final race of the year of 2024 with SCRS as a league, and we have an even longer off season than we typically would have before we get going again on January 28th. So I think everyone's going to take this opportunity to get either their frustrations out. They're going to leave everything on the table. I think we're going to see probably an even more hectic first lap, first corner than we saw last race. And the sun is going down. The darkness is starting to take over. So who knows where things are going to end up when 15 minutes is over.
Well, we could see some hurt feelings here in the final race of the season. Checkered flag is out here in warm-up. Only a couple cars taking the opportunity to get out there on the racetrack. I know one driver looking for a better race, too, is Thomas Morris in the 99. Didn't really finish where I thought he would after his performances tonight. So checkered flag is out. We'll grid him up and get ready for our pace lap here, and again, double filing, and your starting lineup is going to be listed on the left-hand side of your screen this time around, and you're going to see Eric Brown is the one that will cycle to the front and start on pole for this one alongside Jonathan Rodriguez. Then there's Thomas Morris, Sarah Tessum, Andrew Mickey, Brian Chabelsky, Lidke, Dornenberg, Sohn, Lamb, the rest of your top 10. But the battle is always about watching the drivers that finish in the front two, how they are going to charge through the field on the second race. Now starting 17th and 18th, they got a lot of work to do to get there. Yeah,
that's going to be real tough to come from that far back, and I don't think that the gap in pace from first to just seeing a message from Jonathan Rodriguez saying whoever put me in the front row should be fired. So I'm going to be on the lookout for what he does.
If he knew how the invert worked.
You think about it, he knew that there was an invert.
Yes.
He could have given up a couple spots.
I'm pretty sure
but,
it's his fault that he's on the front row for this one, but
nothing good will come of this. This is follow-up. So
I don't think it's going to be strictly his fault. I think there will be lots of fault about to be assigned. But this is the chaos that, this is in chaos there is opportunity, and that's what the drivers like the invert for, Eric, is it's not just about what carnage this creates. It's about the opportunity that comes from drivers that don't typically start up front, starting up front. So for drivers like Thomas Morris, for drivers like Sarah Tessum, Andrew Mickey, they have the opportunity to hang on to a spot rather than have to pass everybody to get them, which is a totally different style and sort of racing. So I think the opportunity here is great for the drivers that start up front, and while there is definitely an intimidation factor to it, what can come out of this is often quite exciting.
Yeah, if you want a league where the fastest guys are and the same guys win every race and start up front every race, there are plenty of those to go out there and find and watch and participate in. But when putting things together for SCRS, we wanted it to be unique. We wanted it to be something different. We wanted it to be something fun, a new, different kind of challenge. And sometimes that's gotten us into some trouble. Sometimes it's really paid off big for us, but something we intend on keeping as it's a little way that we get to be unique and try to create opportunity for drivers who maybe otherwise wouldn't be running up front and potentially for wins.
Eric Brown in the 56. Starting on pole alongside the aforementioned 19 of Jonathan Rodriguez. And turn number 1, the run down to it is always where the sticking point is. Once you're through basically turn 4, then it sort of becomes typical Sebring where the crashes and the passing opportunities happen in normal places. But turns 1 through 5 on this opening lap are going to be where the excitement happens, I think. So Brown, Rodriguez, Morris, Tessem, and Mickey are your top 5. Let's talk about Andrew Mickey. Always seems to do better in these second races. Runs probably better as a defensive driver than an offensive one. How hard is it to defend when you've got 4 lanes of drivers behind you?
I don't know necessarily. It's not something that I would even really bother just because I prefer not to get myself in that kind of trouble. But Andrew seems to find a way to block as many lanes as he needs to. So I think he'll be fine in that respect. He definitely, I think, has speed to go up there and compete with Brown and is that Morris ahead of him and the drivers he's around for the win. And this is, as I mentioned earlier, one of his better racetracks in terms of performance. So he is definitely looking for a great end of the season race here, but he's going to have those fast cars behind him. He's got a couple Can-Am cars behind him who have speed and some AOD cars that are going to be trying to find their way through the field, and it's going to be something he's going to have to worry about, but I think he's got to focus on what's ahead because he really has an opportunity for a win, if not a podium.
Final corner under pacing conditions for 2020. Eric Brown, Jonathan Rodriguez on the front row with an opportunity to do something great in the last race of the year. Sebring, Florida, SCRS Ferrari Challenge, the final race of 2020. Green flag flies. Eric Brown fires off. The field fans out at Sebring under the bridge. They head to turn 1.
See how hectic it gets. Midfield looks like they're all over the place.
Through turn 1 so far, so good. A couple drivers checking up. Mitch Welker on the outside, 3 wide with Kurt Crum in the middle. They will somehow get through there without a touch. Everyone does a great job through turn 1. Still double file as they work through turn 3. Still no contact that I can see. Maybe a touch there between Kalusa and I think, is that Buchanan? Yes, it is. But they get out nice and cleanly. Good job by everybody there. Whoa, now there's a crash. Big crash.
And it's Welker.
Oh, Welker is upside down and Crum. Welker just got up on the curbing and came across the racetrack and got Chris Hudson involved too, but really nothing that anybody did wrong, just a mistake by Welker. Ends his day already.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. We got through, 3 or 4 corners without any incident, and then we have a big one with some of our favorites to come from the back of the field. There's contact up, and that's Rodriguez.
Rodriguez getting shuffled. He will slide back to 12th, down to 15th. He's going to probably rejoin the field a little bit farther down the order. Up front, though, Eric Brown running from it right now. Thomas Morris has cycled to second, then Andrew Mickey, Sarah Tessem, Drew Lidke, the top 5. Buchanan and Cundinger are leaning on each other on turn 13.
Rodriguez off track again. I think he might have gotten a little help that time.
He will straighten it back out and carry on. Cundinger all over the back of Buchanan.
Yeah, as we mentioned, Buchanan probably has the championship locked up, but Cundinger is the closest to him. So if there's any chance for him mathematically to get the win here, he's going to have to push Buchanan to the limit.
Down the straightaways now. Into Sunset Bend for the first time. Lights flashing on Eric Mickey. In the background, there's Brian Chbelski in the 12 car looking at Kyle Lamb. Got Sohn Buchanan behind him. Oh, Lamb charged in a little bit too hot. He's going to be wide. Has to leave space for those on the inside behind him. There's some cars spinning. Bryce Kalusa's around.
This has been the trouble spot all night long, this turn 17. This is where all the action has happened.
Here's a look at it. Down into the corner. I think Plord and Kalusa. I think Plord's probably going to lose it first. A little slow. Kalusa gets to the inside, then they touch. That's how that all triggered.
Buchanan on Cundinger, staying ahead. They're stuck behind Brian Sohn right now.
Sohn running in 8th, and Buchanan and Cundinger 9th and 10th. Buchanan's got a really good run here on Sohn. We'll see if he pops out to driver's right. There he goes. On the brakes, he's going to get this pass done. He drove in there really hard. Cundinger's going to go for the late move there and sneaks up the inside. The door was open, and Cundinger flew through it, and I don't think Sohn was willing to give that spot, but he's going to have to. Up at the front, Thomas Morris is reeling in the leader. Meanwhile, Sarah Tessum up the inside of Andrew Mickey. That was a late move there, but she pulls alongside. More contact. Kundinger and Kyle Lamb leaning on each other. I'm actually pretty surprised. The elbows have been out, but no one's pulled out a knife just yet. They're sort of kneeing each other, but they're not stabbing just yet. It's roughhousing more than it is fighting.
Got a pass between Ghost and Untercuffler.
Scrap there, and Corey Bunch on the back of Mo Islam. Keeping an eye as well on Shavelski and Buchanan. Andrew Mickey is offline.
Every time we get a shot at that front, you just see those flashing lights from Andrew. It's going to be the reason we end up having to make a rule.
In behind them, there's Buchanan to the inside into Sunset Bend. Trying to run away from Kundinger. He will do just that. Slams over the bumps. Kundinger still in behind the 12 car. Shavelski will have to pass him on his own accord. Into turn one, we're going to go 3 wide. Here we go. Kundinger up the inside. Andrew Mickey in the middle. That's Shavelski on the outside. Mickey and Shavelski will have a slight touch. And here comes Buchanan now with a big head of steam on Morelli into turn 3. Car behind around. That's, I believe, Christian Ost at the exit of turn 1 has had an incident.
Got a pretty consistent issue keeping that car on the asphalt without issue tonight. Seen him out of shape for quite a few times, and finally it's bit him a little bit harder than usual as Morelli is back on Buchanan.
Oh, he's in a little warm around the outside, trying to hold off Carter Kundinger. I'll tell you what though, Buchanan is climbing very quickly, plus 8 spots, and same for Carter Kundinger. So Kundinger's been following Buchanan through the field, and they've been making significant progress, and I'd say that they're running lap times that are easily fast enough to go run down the leaders. They got to get this pass done quickly.
They got to get by Morelli real quick, and if they can, I think that they have an opportunity to get up towards the lead. But at the moment, Morelli's just quick enough and just defensive enough to keep them behind. So they've got to get this done if they're going to have any chance at getting up to the top 2 spots.
Yeah, it's 4.7 seconds between Buchanan and the race leader, Eric Brown, right now, who still maintains that top spot. Now Morelli going defensive. And these two, remember in the past, these two had an issue. Think back to Suzuka a couple weeks ago.
Since worked that out, everything's been good between them. But you see Morelli gets a little bit loose off there. This could be an opportunity for Buchanan.
Meanwhile, up in the front, Morris has a look to the inside of Brown, crosses back over to the left. Brown goes defensive on the inside of Sunset. Sarah Tessum up the inside.
Tessum on the inside of Morris, kind of surprising Morris it looked like, and he had to kind of let off to make that happen. So Tessum moves into second place and hunting down Eric Brown for the lead. Now the thing is, now that Buchanan looks like he's been able to get past Morelli back here, so if these 4 cars up front start... contact between Tessum and Morris.
Wow! And Sarah Tessum upside down and slams into the catch fence in turn number 1, got airborne, flew over the top of some of the competitors before getting back rolling again. What a hellacious impact again for Sarah Tessum. Have a look at this. Got to the inside of Eric Brown, then bounces 99 of Morris, launches her skyward, and then slams into the catch fence down in turn number 1. That is a huge, huge hit.
If I had to guess, I would say she wasn't really content with sticking in second place right there, and then dove really deep, but then was just on the brakes at a really awkward time while also steering, and that got her out of shape.
Well, here's Zach Buchanan. He's capitalized, jumps up to 3rd place, and he's flying. He's halved that lead now with the trouble that his teammate had. So move Buchanan maybe into the best spot to win this race. 1.9 back from Brown. And look at Morelli up the inside of Morris, who's got significant damage. This is going to be a bottleneck here.
All over the place. Andrew Mickey in side by side with Morelli right now, trying to come back. He's lost a few positions. He wants to get those back. There's Morelli.
Kundinger working over Morris, now going to dive up the inside into the S's. Has a look, got alongside. Morris leaves space. He's out in the dirt. Got to leave that, let that go, and give up the time as Mickey tries to slide in there. Morelli going to try to follow.
Andrew just got really bad through that last corner. So he's going to be all under attack from Morelli.
Some other paddles wing on behind Kyle Lamb, Corey Bunch, Brian Sohn are all duking and diving. Look at them, 3 wide. We'll get that sorted. Now Mickey on the inside of Morelli for the final corner. For the lead.
Going super wide, and Lidke looks like to be taking the lead from Brown down the front, the start-finish straight. So Lidke, I think he has the pace that if he can start running away from Brown right now, open up a little gap there, and maybe Buchanan gets held up behind Brown for a lap, he might be able to squeak out a win here, but Buchanan's coming fast.
Oh, it's getting really condensed here. Look at the 99 getting shoved over by Morelli. They wanted to go by Mickey. Morelli's in hot. He's going to open. It looked like Morris just drove too hot into the corner. He's out in the Armco down in turn 3. Mickey around the outside of Morelli. He's going to get loose. They're going to touch. Chaos here.
This entire pack just looks like carnage, and I think Morris is fighting damage from that contact with Tessum, and that's why he's unable to really keep the car under control through some of those high-braking corners.
There's so many cars on top of each other right now. Look at this pack, 8, 9 cars maybe.
A pace lap, or are they racing? I'm not sure.
I'll tell you, it's not a pace lap. They're running into each other. Corey Bunch now with Dominic Dornenberg on the inside. Braking maneuver there. You see Mickey and Nicholas Morelli still side by side. They cannot get that one sorted. Morelli jumps the curb and touch there. In return, after the one at the exit at turn 5. More headlight flashing. More pushing and shoving. Lamb was off sideways again. Unterkuffler getting a shove as well.
Somebody just pulled off the track though.
Sean Unterkuffler in the 9 pulled off course. Oh, Mickey's going to get pushed and shoved. He gathers it back up, drops the 10th. Now Dornenberg up the inside of Corey Bunch. That's for 6th.
This is that definition of leaving everything out on the racetrack, as we have Buchanan already trying to get around Eric Brown into turn 17.
Brown's going to drive a little bit wide. I think Buchanan's going to get through nicely, and he does. 0.6 of a second is the battle for the lead. There's Mo Islam up the inside of Corey Bunch. That's for 7th. He's through and sets his sights on his teammate, Dominic Dornenberg, just up the road, as Bunch now has to hold off Shabelski. I'm really curious to watch both these teammates battle and the one for the lead with 3 laps to go. Plenty of time for Buchanan to get there. He ran a full second and 0.2 better than Drew Lidke last lap around, and he's already there. Could it be a Project 2 sweep tonight with Mitch Welker hitting the race earlier and Buchanan now having to run up the inside, headlights flashing, the distraction tactic into the braking zone for the hairpin, and Zach Buchanan is through to the race lead in SCRS Ferrari Challenge.
And this is going to be Buchanan's to run away with.
Behind them, Dominic Dornenberg, Corey Bunch, Shabelski, and Mickey. Pretty much nose to tail. Mickey's got his hands full of Ryan Plord, our AM race winner from earlier in the night. Climbs up on the curb in turn 10. A major pass there. Lidke now being attacked by Eric Brown, and Carter Kundinger has found his way into the mix. Kundinger's on pace with Buchanan. I'm not sure that he's quicker necessarily, but he's going to take an opportunity, all the momentum into the S's, and climb the curb there to the inside, straddles it. That's for 3rd place if he can complete it, and he will.
Yeah, I think Kundinger's going to have to, and nope, he's side-by-side still with Brown off the corner.
Brown actually carried quite a bit of speed out there somehow. He's actually going to re-clear Kundinger heading down to Sunset Bend. Buchanan.
Not what Carter needed in order to have any shot at going up there and challenging Buchanan.
No. Oh, into turn 17, jumps on the brakes a little bit later than Brown got him off kilter. Chases the car down to the apex, but Brown will get away with that for now. Look at Kundinger swinging the momentum on the outside. He'll have a run here. And he's through. Finally gets it done on Eric Brown. Out front, though, Zach Buchanan, with 2 laps to go, has taken the lead away from Drew Lidke and is now bringing that gap up, and I'm not sure that anybody can compete with him, at least not run faster laps than him. The only driver that did run a faster lap last time by was Mo Islam in the 206 car, but he's down in 6th, dealing with Nicholas Morelli in the 095.
Yeah, I think Buchanan is looking to end this season with a win and the championship, which is going to be big for him. Carter Kundinger looking to hold on. You know, he's going to come up short in the championship, but in the drivers' championship, but he's done a lot of the work for in terms of the team championship. In fact, I even think looking at the statistics on the season, I'm pretty sure that Carter Kundinger has been on the podium more than anybody else. He's had 8 podiums coming into tonight. Buchanan only had 7, and everybody else has struggled to get above 3 or 4. So Carter's been the most consistently up front throughout the years. Just hasn't had those wins that Buchanan has had to be able to get those necessary 5 extra points for taking home that win.
Morelli and Islam having a great battle for 5th right now. They've yet to sort it out completely. Back and forth a few times already. Mo Islam putting the pressure on him. And then look at how far they're tracking out into turn 16. Morelli didn't get down to the apex, but he carried enough speed for it to not matter. The braking
coming
zone.
To the white flag, I believe.
Yes, white flag this time by Morelli. Running a little wide. Islam down the inside in turn 17. For the last lap, Zach Buchanan 3.7 miles around to claim a victory and the championship for 2nd place. Carter Kundinger is all over the back of Lidke. Here's that run.
Nope. Lidke able to drive it deep into the corner, stay on that outside, gave Kundinger all the room he needed on the other side of the track. But Lidke's going to come out of this section with the advantage.
4-car, 5-car fight now for 5th. Morelli, Islam, Bunch, Dornenberg, and Shabelski all scrapping now into turn 7 again. Kundinger goes driver's left. Lidke goes defensive on driver's right. Looks like Kundinger is actually going to complete that pass around the outside lane. Gets it done. Islam and Morelli into the braking zone for 7. Morelli deeper on the brakes than Islam. Can he hang on to it? Crossover. It's bumper cars. Morelli hangs on for now. He's got damage, though.
Once again, cars all over each other here.
Well, there goes Islam. Just too much pace into the corner. Got alongside, spun the car out. His teammate Dornenberg makes his way through. But that will let Morelli get away. Now Ryan Plord up to 7th, looking for another spot. Oh, big cut there for Ryan Plord. I think he might have a slowdown. That was 4 tires off to the inside.
I'd be really surprised if he doesn't. That was a little bit greedy on that one.
Yeah. Shabelski's in a crossover bunch really nicely. There's that pullover. Does Shabelski have one as well? I think he does. So some dramas there with some late race cuts. Meanwhile, Zach Buchanan comes out of turn number 17. A win and the championship. It's a Project 2 sweep in Pro-Am. Mitch Welker and Zach Buchanan go to victory lane at Sebring. And it's a championship for Buchanan. A well-earned 9-round domination by that number 40.
Yeah, he was really the class of the field all season long in terms of getting those race victories that were necessary. And like I just mentioned, Carter Kundinger just coming up a little bit short on the race wins, but was able to run up front and finish up front more consistently than anyone else, but just wasn't enough to tackle Buchanan once we kind of lost James Walker as a full-time competitor and went to more of a part-time schedule. This championship kind of fell into Buchanan's lap to be able to be his to decide, and he did everything he needed to do to, especially over the last few weeks, last 4 or 5 weeks. Just an insane run for Buchanan in these race wins.
So down in the hairpin, he's trying to do a burnout of sorts. But there it is, celebration and elation for the number 40 is Zach Buchanan, the 2020 SCRS Ferrari Challenge champion. And the team as a whole had its moments of struggle with Hunter Kuffler and Kyle Lamb and Mitch Welker and Sarah Tessman and Zach Buchanan. All of them had their moments, but Buchanan is the one that will go to victory lane and claim the championship here tonight. We'll step away for just a moment after showing you your race results. Here they are. Have a look at this. Top 10, only 2 of our pro drivers All the rest are the AM category drivers. Then moving on down, a much more mixed bag. 5 and 5 from 11th to 20th. And our last two drivers, Jonathan Rodriguez and Mitch Welker. Of course, Welker won the first race from 0 to 0 from race 1 to race 2. We'll be back to talk with him and Buchanan here in just a few moments. Stay with us. Back live here on Sim TV with our AM race winner of the night, Ryan Plord in the number 74, and some good runs in all three races tonight, Ryan. But coming home with the victory in that first race of the evening. Sebring is sort of a SCRS classic, and you brought it home to a victory. Tell us about your night kind of scrapping through the field there, especially the chaos of that third and final race.
Well, I've definitely had a lot of poor experiences at Sebring, so I just kind of came into the night hoping I could stay clean. I somehow put everything together. I was running mid 202s up until that qualifying session, slapped down a 201 and ended up at front of the field. At that point, I was just like, well, I know it's really hard to pass at Sebring, so if I just focus on defending in the places I have to, I don't think he can get by. And sure enough, I was just able to drive it all the way home. So that was pretty exciting. And then somehow I did it again. Again, really unusual pace for me in that qualifying session in the Pro-Am. It was the same thing, just trying to keep my nose clean. I think Kurt bobbled a bit on the start, so I lost a few positions. And I had Carter coming in fast behind me, and I didn't want to push them too hard, and I was already making mistakes ahead of me, so I didn't really defend that hard, so they got through. Then that last race was really the interesting one because I did well to keep myself clean on the start and got all the way to the final corner, and then there was a bit of a bobble in front of me, so I slowed up, and I think his Bryce behind me wasn't prepared for it, stuck his nose up the inside, and there's nothing I could do. I had no idea it was there, and I got turned. And so it was just hard fighting all the way up to the front. I think I made up a lot more positions than I ever could have expected. So really happy with that. I made a little bit of an aggressive move on that last lap, which I stuck the inside. I think I had a 0x. I haven't had a chance to look at the replay with Brian Zabelski, but he didn't defend on it, so I just licked the stamp. But overall, it was a pretty happy night compared to the rest of the season. Had a lot of wrecks. So.
Well, it was a good night for you. I'm curious about next season's festivities because we announced earlier the 2021 schedule here for the SCRS Super Trofeo and SCRS Prototype Challenge. Can we expect to see you in either or both of those series next season back in 2021?
I'm definitely thinking both at this time, but we'll see.
All right, well, really excited for that. Ryan, thanks for your time. Thanks for talking to us. Congratulations on your victory and your season. Thanks for talking with us.
Thanks, guys.
Move on now to our race 1 winner, Mitch Welker, who drove the number 77 tonight. In race number 2, however, wasn't quite as simple of a story. That car ended up upside down on the exit of lap number 1. I just saw that you had a conversation with Kurt Crum. Apologetic a little bit, Mitch, but that first race, nothing to apologize for. That was a great fight between you and Crum. You came out on top after some elbows out racing. Take us through your night and your season.
Oh, yeah. First race ending was really good. I'm really proud of how I drove. I don't regret a thing about what I did in the first race. Second race, yeah, I wiped him out. He's probably not going to like me for a long time. I hope that changes. I hope we can clean slate that for next season, but I don't know what his plan is. I'm really sorry for that. But yeah, overall, Whole season, decent. I'd like it for it to be better. I'd like to clean up things a little bit. I made too many mistakes. I threw too many good opportunities. I could have helped us get a Constructors Championship possibly if I didn't screw myself so many times. So, yeah, I'd like to clean that up and have a more consistent season next time around.
Well, Mitch, it was a great season for you, regardless of the couple race wins on top of it, and a race win tonight. So congratulations on that. Some highlights for sure, and hopefully we'll see you back next season in the Super Trofeo or the Dallara LMP2 Prototype Challenge that we'll have in the spring.
Hoping to, yeah.
All right, Mitch, we'll have a good night. We'll see you later.
See ya. Thanks.
Moving on to Zach Buchanan, who is the season champion and the race winner, although results say 18th now after you got disqualified doing donuts. You still did win the race, and you won the championship on top of that, Zach. An epic drive for you in this race. You started 14th and officially finished in first, so that was an impressive climb, but you had to scrap for it for a little while and come out on top. So take us through not only tonight, but also kind of sum up your entire very dominant season.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. I'm really happy about this. Finally locked one up for the team. Yeah, tonight was I couldn't have asked for a better night for myself anyway. Can't say the same for my teammates, as it seems like every week. But yeah, I mean, me and Carter, it's kind of scary how even we are in pace from the start of the season to now. Even in these two races, we were inseparable all race. Yeah, it was tough out there. I mean, people want to keep their position. Some people were being a little nicer, let us by. But yeah, it was super fun out there tonight. And as for the season as a whole, I couldn't really be happier. Project 2 as a team, we had pretty much everything go wrong we could this season. Unfortunately, we couldn't lock up one of the team titles, but no, this one makes up for it, I think.
Well, it was a super strong year. I mean, I think we were mentioning that Project 2 has had a lot of highlights this season, a couple race wins to speak of, but the consistency for the team, is that really the next goal? And what is the goal for next season, obviously, with the Super Trofeo and the Prototype Challenge? What does Project 2 do, if anything, and how does the team situation work next season?
We don't know. I think there's going to be maybe another driver or two joining in on this because there's lots of interest from these cars, and I think well, we want to do more of the same. Hopefully improve on our very unlucky track record, I'll say that much. And, I mean, keep pulling in those wins where we can. I'm really happy for Mitch tonight. I know Sean and Kyle both feel like they've had the pace to lock up a win at some point. So, yeah, I think we can only improve from here.
A really strong night on top of a really strong season. Zach Buchanan is the 2020 SCRS Ferrari Challenge Fall Champion. Congratulations on that, Zach, and we'll hopefully see you back next season.
Oh, you will. Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you. And with that, we're going to wrap things up here for SCRS Ferrari Challenge for 2020. It's going to be several months before we see a return to the Ferrari GT3 car, Eric. But as we announced earlier tonight, lots coming up next season, lots of racing, both in the Super Trofeo series with the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo and the Prototype Challenge with the Dallara P217 LMP2. So lots of really fun racing. It all begins on January 28th.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if before we go, can we talk to our AM Cup champion and Drew Lidke?
We sure can. Let's pull him in here, at least if we can try to. And I see him lingering, so let's have a little chat here with Drew Lidke, our AM Cup champion. Drew, you got a copy?
Hey, how are you?
We're doing great up here, Drew, but you got to be doing pretty good down there as well. You finished officially, I believe, third in this race. The results got sorted after Buchanan got himself DQ'd doing donuts. But a really strong season. You're the AM Cup champion, and it seems like we keep coming back to your name every year in the AM category. So tell us about your season and your racing tonight.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was good. It was, a bit of an up and down story to the beginning of the season, and then I started to get some pace and was able to. I think the key was just consistent finishes, which has not been one of my strong points. My teammate Brian Schabelsky is certainly known for much more of a consistency than I am, but yeah, I was able to string together a bunch of really high point finishes kind of mid to late season, and then it was just a matter of trying to somewhat play safe but kind of keep the pace up, and that's kind of what the plan was for tonight as well. You probably saw I didn't want to fight Zach and Carter in that last race because I just did not want to risk anything. So let the two pros go by, and as long as I finished on the podium for the last race, I was happy with that. So yeah, hi to the family, because I know I've got a bunch of family members watching, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everyone, and thank you guys for the awesome job.
Drew, thanks so much for your time, and congratulations on winning the 2020 AM Cup. Hopefully we'll see you back next season in Super Trofeo or Prototype Challenge and see you rip around some more.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Take care.
And with that should round things up, Eric. Well, again, we already mentioned our situation for next season. It all begins January 28th at Daytona International Speedway with the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Series as well as Prototype Challenge. Starting it off where the sports car season naturally starts at Daytona in January. It's going to feel pretty accurate to start everything out there.
Yeah, I'm real. Like I said it probably 300 times earlier when we talked about the announcement and everything. I'm really excited about what we have going on next year for this first season of 2021. A lot of our drivers and roster are excited about what we're doing for 2021. I think we finished the season off really solid. I think there's a lot of discussion about, Sebring was a mainstay on the SCAR schedule for a long time, but got taken off the schedule after we had some races that didn't really go the way that we wanted to and were pretty messy. And while, of course, we have had some issues throughout the night tonight, I think ultimately we had one of our better showings. And even when things kind of calmed down, middle of the race, everything picked right back up just a lap or two later. And we had good racing throughout the entire night from the front of the field to the back. We had our championship leaders proving why they're in that position, taking home their championships. And congratulations to Zach for his pro championship, Drew on his AM championship. Congrats to the team champions, AOD Racing and Can-Am MB Racing, on what they've been able to do all season long. So looking forward to seeing everybody and then some come back to us next season as we get rolling into January and prepping for our first ever double series season of SCARS competition.
Well, we're going to kick things off on January 28th at Daytona International Speedway, and so excited to head over there at the perfect time for sports cars. And here is why Daytona is important to us. We'll see you in January on SimTV.
If there's one place that defines American motorsport, it's here. The sandy beaches a few miles away held races for decades. It's where NASCAR was born. They need a place to race, a super speedway so fast and so huge that the cars could run flat out all the way around. So they built it. 1 million square yards of earth was moved to create the banking. The void left behind became Lake Lloyd. And 2.5 miles of asphalt created more than just one of the most beautiful racetracks in the world. It built the foundation of NASCAR. In the decades that followed, Daytona became hallowed ground. The trophies here mean more than any other. Win the 500, put your name on the Harley J. Earl Trophy. Win the 24 hours and strap a Rolex on your wrist. The banks are not always kind. They're not always fair. And while Daytona wins bring a statistical highlight to any career, it's the losses that make it seem pointless. But for every untimely ending, there is a triumphant healing. For every emotional victory, a mind-numbing realization.
Tom O'Gorman fighting for every inch that he could possibly get. Won the last T-SCAR race of last year, Road Atlantic, starting things off in exactly the right style. It is victory for Tom O'Gorman and the LA Auto team.
I won at Daytona. I earned a trophy at the World Center of Racing. The checkered flag waved for me. For me, it was not the end of a career. While it may be a highlight, it is only the beginning.